So let's start this thing off right. Hello, I'm your host. I am Michael Yerby, host of Zenyoku Podcast. I like to welcome all my Zenroku family here. We dive deep into the minds of trailblazers who's not just making a mark, but redefining what it means to be successful. Today, we have a guest who embodies resilience, leadership, and innovation, a true force in both the military and the entrepreneurial world. He's an Air Force Master Sergeant, leading with honor and integrity. He's an owner of No Hiatus Enterprise, a brand that champions perseverance, growth. He's driving force with the No Hiatus Report, a platform that embodies people to push beyond their limits and reach new heights. He's a trendsetter, a philanthropist, a motivator who's not afraid to speak the truth, share wisdom, whether investing in people, life lessons, or simply staying relevant in the face of adversity. He's the man with the plan. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Travis Mitchell.
Yeah. What an introduction, man. Thank you for that, man.
Yeah, no problem, man. I would have said Master Sergeant, but keep that when they look you up, keep that on the back end for everybody.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So how's Hawaii treating you right now?
Oh my gosh. Everything you would think is beautiful. And the family is definitely happy.
Yeah, hey, the family happy? You happy.
100%. But I do miss my Barksdale people.
Oh, that means a lot. Well, we're going to get right into it because I know your time is valuable. So my first question for you, Travis, is let's talk about your journey to finding No Hiatus Report and what inspired you to create this platform. And how did it evolve into what it is now?
Oh, man. So it started when I was having a tough time in Korea. I was struggling mentally, going through personal life stuff. And I was like, hey, man, you could either drown in your sorrows and your issues, or you could change the narrative for yourself. So what I wanted to do is I made the choice to change the narrative for myself. So I said, I'm going to stay busy. I'm going to win every award I can because that's going to show my stuff that you can do it and you don't have to let your issues conquer you. You can conquer issues. So in the middle of all of that, I just came up with this moniker of No Hiatus, meaning I'm not going to take a break until I feel better. So I just kept working. I documented everything I was achieving at the time, and I just became a better person just by not letting the hard times create me instead of I made the hard times create a better version of me. So, and that's how I came up with Raise No Hiatus, how it changed and what it is today. I was just a big fitness enthusiast. So at the time I was, I ain't gonna say enthusiast, I was just interested in fitness. And a lot of people around me was too. So I just kind of like incorporated No Hiatus into fitness. And then it just became a thing around me with my friends and family. And my wife helped catapult what it is today. So here
yes, sir. See, I love that. So is that the reason why, and I've seen in previous interviews, you said you wake up, I believe is at 2 a.m. in the morning?
Yes, sir. I do. I wanted minimum distractions in my focus. So, obviously the gym can be overcrowded.
I know that.
Multiple conversations can be had while you're trying to get your pump. So I wanted to find a space and time where I had minimum distractions, and 2:00 just happened to be the best time for me. And shoot, it's been like 10 years of doing 2:00 in the morning. I've just been more progressive, able to think. So.
No, trust me, I get you 100% because like when I started my journey probably like 4 or 5 years ago, I always found myself as I want to say a gym rat. I was one of those people that I can go in a gym and have quick results, right? So I really didn't value it. I was very thin, skinny, came in the Air Force at a $125, right? Now I exploded to 200, of course, with, filled out a little muscle here and there, right? But I found it very difficult as, I got older, having kids, life, and what have you, to go to the gym at like 12 o'clock, get a good workout in, then come home and then be expected as a husband to be there mentally, right, for the family. Because I'm tired. I did work. I'm like, so when I started like taking it seriously to better myself professionally and just personally, I started waking up around 5 a.m., right? Because I read the book, The 5 a.m. Club. And then I'm like, that's just not enough for me. And so I ended up moving it to 4, and I got to 3 o'clock. So I'm not there yet, like you are. But I will be there. I'm at 3 o'clock. So so as soon as I can get this a little bit better, and and I go work out again, that's the goal, to go back to 3 a.m. and just start working out. So I do understand, man, the gym be so empty at 3 o'clock in the morning. It be maybe 2 people there because on base gym, midship, but man, I have everything to myself. And once everybody coming in, I already got my pump. I already got, relaxed, cool down, took a shower, and I'm heading off to work. So I do understand, man. I do understand it. Yeah, man. So question, that leads into like my second question. How was your experience in the Air Force shaped your approach to personal and professional development? Because you've been doing this for 10 years. So how did that, I guess, for good and for bad, what did it show you?
I think anybody in the Air Force ran into the good and the bad. You had good leadership, you have bad leadership. It's a prognosis that we all deal with. But how you deal with it is you learn from the bad and you learn from it. That's what's gonna make you a good leader. And that's what makes us the leader we are today. We look at what we didn't like and don't do it, then find out what we did like and we emulate. So as far as that, I mean, it worked out for me. And I took advantage of this last opportunity working with Chief Woods as his exec because I wanted to learn more about the entrepreneurial side of things and the business side of things. So I took the opportunity to shoot my shot at working for him. And I learned so much about business in the Air Force by working with somebody who strictly just conducts business for the Air Force. So I took advantage of that. And I was just so surprised at the amount of business aspects that it takes to run the Air Force at a high level. So.
Is it any specific lessons, right, that you learned from working with Chief Woods that you can apply to your daily life?
You don't know what you don't know until you just go through it. You can't be afraid. Like I was so afraid of doing specific tasks because I felt like I was so unqualified. But experience is going to make you qualified. Gotcha. I didn't know how to organize and plan at an elite level, but he gave me the space and time to learn and be that. But just knowing you're just gonna have to go through it, try, and then just be 100 with yourself, and don't be afraid to fail. Yeah, that's the biggest thing. Do not be afraid to fail, and if you do fail, everybody has.
See, that's pretty interesting. Because as an exec, I wouldn't hear someone actually come out and actually say that. So that's very cool that you're vulnerable and, just confident enough to say, hey, I didn't have it together all the time, but it was nice to know that a command chief for a MATCHCOM said, Numbered Air Force at the time, was it Numbered Air Force? Yeah. That he gave you that space to get yourself in order. Do you think that's common in the Air Force, that what you see?
I must say no. Do I believe instances happen where it does happen, but is it common? No. And the reason why I say no is because we always hear this phrase that is an instant buzzkill. As a master sergeant, you should know. Or as a tech sergeant, you should know. As an NCO, but you don't know what you don't know. Like, I can't tell you medical's paperwork processes because I'm not medical.
Yeah.
I can't tell you about somebody else's career field or admin because I never did admin work. Yeah. So, I'm POL. We pump gas and get the mission done. So I can tell you about that, but we don't push paper that much. Mm-hmm. So hearing the phrase as an NCO, as a senior NCO, that's why it's not common, because people have that mindset of you should be born knowing this stuff.
Okay. Yeah. So let me ask you a personal question. Get off the Air Force for a second. As a fan of Dragon Ball Z, we was talking previously, and you told me that you watched Dragon Ball Z with your daughter. How do you think anime and like DBC, the influence over 20 plus years, mirrors the concepts of resilience and growth in your everyday life?
I'll say Goku in particular. I know he's the main character and such an easy target, but Goku is very humble. He's not necessarily wanting to be. He doesn't come out and say he wants to be best, but he also wants to be challenged. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter if you're a bad guy or a good guy. He's going to give you your credit. Like, hey, man, he's strong. You want to train sometimes? Or what does this guy do? Like, hey, how can I get better? That's Goku's mindset, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. But that's how I feel about my leadership style. I want to find out, hey, how did you do that? How did that work out for you? And I want to figure out how to put that in my tool belt. And I'm humble. I'm not scared of somebody who knows more. I'm not terrified at all. I want to know how you got that and tell me how you got it. Like, I'm going to pick your brain. And nobody poses a threat to me. And nobody poses a threat to Goku. So, and he's willing to go anytime, which is pretty cool. So I would say that's how anime helped my leadership style.
Okay. So question, drawing parallels from Dragon Ball, how Goku always wants to train, right? He always wants to be the best he can be, right? But he goes through situations. Have there been moments in your life where you felt like you was in a DBZ battle, like, saying you had to push through?
Yes. Every time I chose an opportunity to challenge myself with a new job, a new opportunity, when I decided to take the shirt gig at LRS, I didn't know much about it, but it was such a battle, trying to live in that capacity on top of living in that same capacity in my children's life and my wife's life, trying to be a dad and then trying to take care of the unit. So I always felt like I was underqualified, but I had to overtrain. And that alone is like a DBC battle to me.
Boy, you... Yeah. So I get you. So you mentioned watching anime with your daughter and stuff like that. And you mentioned how going through that battle, taking on being a first sergeant impacted your views. How did it impact your views on parenting? Because now you have, now you're a first sergeant, right? For LRS, which is very busy. For people who don't know out there, LRS everything is about logistics, readiness squadron. So everything is about processes and systems. So that can get very crazy when it comes for people. So as a first sergeant, dealing with all the moving pieces, then got to come home and be a parent. What had that told you, and how did that impact your parenting skills?
It comes with a cost. Obviously, when you take a job, anybody who takes a job, especially a visible job, you want to do a good job, and you want to be perceived at doing a good job. So you kind of, if you have pride in it, you pour yourself into it. And it was a wake-up call for me that I was pouring myself to my job. I wanted everybody to know that I was there for them. And then, you come home and you train and you're tired of your kids looking at you like, hey, what's up, Dad? And you just ain't got the energy. So the wake-up call was the same amount of energy that I'm pouring into these random people who's going to be, essentially a season. The same amount of energy I'm pouring into them, I want to make sure I pour it double into my kids. So if I'm pouring 100 into the unit, I want to make sure I'm pouring 200 into my kids. So being tired is just not an option. Being afraid is not an option. Being afraid and tired is a luxury. So that's the wake up call I had. So now I just make sure I pour into my kids double, regardless of how I feel, because how I feel doesn't matter.
You're right about that. And I want to go back to, you mentioned being on Chief Wood's podcast, and I wonder how did that experience impact your leadership and also mentorship?
That's a good question. It impacted my leadership just by saying, because who I work for, I didn't have an option. Like, if something was difficult, I didn't have an option. If I'm terrible at or afraid of public speaking into a large crowd, I don't have an option, because he's going to look at me like, get your behind out there and do it. So it forced me to just learn, regardless if I wanted to or not. So being afraid to do anything, it just went away because I had to do it. So now when something comes up for me task-wise, I just do it. There's no options. Like, there is no options but to do it. So that's one thing I learned from him. What was the second part of the question? Because I remember a lot.
Oh, no, you ain't remember. So basically, it's just asking about leadership and also mentorship. Like when and I guess I can use that as a segue into my next question is, like, when it comes to mentorship and growth, what did you take away from that conversation that you was already doing, as a leader, that you like, man, now that he said something about it, it kind of doubled down on what I was doing. So I'm secure on that. And I just need to keep refining that. And what the experience was, where you're like, man, I'm not doing that as a mentor. I need to start doing that.
Yeah. Give people space to grow. Everybody grows at different speeds. And he learned that I just wasn't like good at everything. So the things that I wasn't good at, he gave me space. And the things I was good at, he just full throttle pushed me into it. Which ultimately grew me, because the capacity he pushed me in was way bigger than the capacity that I'm used to. But as far as mentorship wise, he gave me space. He gave me time. And that's what I want to make sure I do for other people, is give them the space and time to grow. He gave me grace. His moniker is, his phrase is, keep it 100. The special thing about Chief Woods was he kept it 100. His catchphrase was keep it 100, but he was able to go down 90, 80, and 70 for me. Even though he's operating at this level, he was able to say, all right, I need to come down to 90. to go get this guy. I need to go down to 70 to go get this guy, and then I'll bring him back up to 100 with me. So that's what kind of mentorship he did.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, that right there is amazing, because a lot of times we think that, like you said earlier, you don't have all the answers, but they expect us to have all the answers. And I believe, like what you stated, giving grace. I talk about grace so much when I talk to my airmen. I consult with other senior NCOs, especially when we're coming together in a huddle to talk about what's a game plan of what we're going to do. To maybe it's corrective action, maybe is speaking to that person in a different way. But I always mention, hey, let's give them grace. Let's look at it from another viewpoint, right? Let's put ourselves in their shoes. Not saying that you don't correct anybody or you don't give us what they call tough love, right? But it is so needed to address the issue accordingly and come up with a game plan that's unique to them, not some one fit all type situation, right? So I do appreciate you telling me that and saying that. But also I do have a question with your recent PCS, right, to Hickam, like, and now you're back in a regular unit, correct?
I'm in the IG, bro.
Okay, so you in the IG, okay, great. So how do you balance those demands with your personal life and also your passion project? No hiatus report.
Oh my gosh, that is such a brilliant question. A brilliant question to ask, especially for those who are doing the same thing we're doing. It is tough. It is tough because you're sacrificing one luxury. For me, like I'm sacrificing luxury PCS to Hawaii. Such a beautiful place. You want to get there so fast. And you just want to enjoy all the amenities of Hawaii and being in a new job. But all the while, no hiatus is just losing steam because I haven't figured it out yet. I can honestly say I haven't figured it out yet. Mm-hmm. But if you really love what you do as far as entrepreneurship and whatever your branding is, it is going to remind you every day. It's gonna be in the back of your mind. It's gonna tap on your shoulder. It's gonna say, "Hey, yeah, the Air Force is great, but you're gonna take this uniform off. You still got to build this thing over here. This thing you call is calling." So I'm just now to the point where I'm paying attention back to that call, even though it's been a month that I had to take off. That month is so gut wrenching. Just take away from the business. So I'm still figuring it out. It's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough.
And that's all you can do is try to figure it out. But I'm glad that you're moving forward in what you're doing, because I read some of your stuff that you was writing, and it's clear, right, that you are a man of faith. And then talking to you, we talked, and I saw that you are a man of faith. So I'm like, man, I hear those undertones of faith, growing. And I wanted to ask a question, like in today's world, where the line between faith and secular kind of is blurred in a lot of ways. How do you navigate situations where your faith might conflict with the norms and the expectations of your military career or public life?
So I go back to Goku. Goku can fly. He can throw fireballs. He can throw spirit bombs, kamehamehas, all of this other stuff.
Yeah.
But one thing that's very underrated with and not spoken about with Goku is he is uncompromisable. He does not compromise. So with me, if it compromises my faith, then I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no. One thing my wife like to say, if something compromises our faith, she say it ain't worth my salvation. Ooh. So I ain't doing it. So that's one thing I'll say. If it's not worth if it's not worth my salvation, there's no compromise. So
Yes, sir. So has there been any like moments that have been difficult to make those choices between, your beliefs and then your fulfillment as in your professional duties being in the military?
Um, as far as the military, I would say no. Luckily, I was around people who gave me that respect. Hey, I understand where you're coming from. I understand who you are. So I'm just not going to force that on or tempt you with certain situations. So I can honestly say in my career, I had great mentors, leadership, friends that just never put me in that situation.
Heck yeah, I'm glad. I'm so glad.
Yeah.
And I kind of wanted to go back to something you was talking about where you said you needed that month off from no hiatus as you transition to Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to ask, in the realm of personal development, there's often a push to consistently hustle and never rest, and always constantly do more, which sometimes can lead to burnout. What is the status of that culture consistently being productive? And do you think is there a point where it becomes harmful or fatal to a person to always go, 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 go?
Yes. Obviously I have the name no hiatus means no breaks. But that doesn't mean literally don't take a break. Taking a break is part of the process. Taking a knee is part of the process. Resting is part of the process. You can't work out 7 days a week. You'll be more prone to injuries. So you have to rest as part of the process. That culture of hustle, 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 it is a facade for quick content or quick results. I call them instant grit gains. It's just, it's I don't want to get too deep in a rabbit hole, but it's not a real thing. It's just not a real thing, and it's not possible. And that's probably why we in the state we in now, where people are burnt out, they're tired, they don't produce results. And if you take the necessary rest, you'll continue to put out that quality. And that's what I didn't want to sacrifice. I could have forced my content out, my articles out. They wouldn't have been of quality. And I don't want to do that for the people who do read my articles to be like, first impression, it's like, this feels rushed. Or somebody who has read my articles and they read the next one, it's like, what is this? So I don't want to risk it. Mm-hmm.
And I think also, like you're saying, it goes with timing as well. Like if we're always in hustle, hustle, hustle mode, we never get that time to quality check our work, like you're saying, especially with your articles, and then the timing of putting that out. Because if you, I believe like everything is done in time. If I put something out in a terrible headspace, usually that energy follows along, where it doesn't get looked at because my timing was off, everything was off, even the way I wrote it or I did a piece about something is off. And it basically lets me know that I constantly need to, keep myself kind of tweaked. One thing I love by one of my biggest influences, Eric Thomas. I love that guy. Everything about he does, yeah, it's amazing. And he said, he said, celebrate the small victories. And so every time you had a small victory, right, I made sure I consistently did my job in celebrating that and celebrating it openly and being very exuberant about it, right? So, but during those great times, you do have those challenges. So what are some big challenges you faced on your journey, whether it's in the Air Force or with no hiatus report or in your personal life, if you're willing to share?
Challenges, man. That balance of wanting to be great in my own capacity, that was the challenge. because being great, being great is a selfish act. And people don't necessarily, I don't think most people would admit it, but being great and successful is a selfish act because you have to compromise. Somebody's going to take the back seat. And that's what you have to realize. And that's the challenge. But communication is the key to those around you. Communicating what your goals and your intentions are. But luckily, I have a very, very amazing support system in my wife, and she don't always like it, but she always support. Yeah. And whenever my head is down, she always lifts my head up. Whether it be a scripture or a hug, a head rub, she's always there to make sure I stay focused and regroup, regardless if it's gonna take time for her or the kids. She always pushed me back in her ring. So, yeah.
See, that's amazing. That is amazing. So, like with that, you talking about goals a little bit. Looking ahead, what goals do you have for the future for yourself professionally and also personally? Is it senior on the rise for you? Is No Hiatus taking it global or turning it into a media brand? What are some of your goals for the next few years for yourself?
So I don't know anybody who don't want to get promoted, obviously, or want to get promoted. I'll put that out there. But the ultimate goal is to be a very, very productive nutritionist. So the world is focused on technology, politics, making more money, business moves, hustle harder, all of that other stuff. But so that leaves little to no time to take care of your nutrition. We go to the gym, but you can ask somebody, how much water did you drink today? I ain't drink none. Or I had a couple cups, everybody's focused on more so protein, but those macro and micronutrients is important to the daily life. And that's what I want to make sure I give back to society, because health is wealth. We can't do anything without it. And I want to make sure the world is as healthy as possible. That's my goal, is to promote a healthier world, a healthier lifestyle.
So with that, are you taking any classes? Are you taking any courses? Are you getting a degree in being a nutritionist?
So right now, under the No Hiatus Enterprise umbrella, there is No Hiatus Nutrition. So now that I'm settled in with my PCS, I can start back taking more clients and helping these clients more healthy individuals, whether it be healthy in the air realm of the Air Force, or more healthy because you want to have more time with your kids or more energy with your kids. So it's there. It's just a matter of building it while I'm established in Hawaii. So the courses is already taken. I'm already a certified personal trainer. I'm already a nutritionist. I'm already those things. It's just a matter of putting processes in play while I'm in Hawaii.
And before we wrap up, right, I want to ask you one question that I'm going to ask all my guests. You are my first guest, and I want to continue that legacy, right, to move on. So that leads to this last question is, what legacy do you hope to leave behind, when we all have to expire and go through maybe your work, faith, or mentorship?
I tell it, one, you're getting in that casket alone. So you want to make sure you do what you want to do. If that dream is there, pursue that dream. But ultimately, get my family to heaven. But ultimately, the legacy I want, and I don't really think it's a legacy, but it's just how I feel, is I want that job well done. Like, Travis, you did good by the world. You did good by those people. And that's what I want to leave behind, so my kids can know that their dad and my wife can be like, that was a genuine good man. It wasn't a facade. That job well done is what I want.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your journey insights with us today. It's been an absolute pleasure, man. You are really good at this. And thank you for coming to the Roku podcast. I know our listeners are inspired by your story and your wisdom. So I'm going to make sure everyone do some comments, maybe have some questions for you and pin it to you. I'm going to pin your email if that's okay, so people can get a hold of you and what you do. Before we go, though, I want leave the floor with you and tell anybody how to get in contact you, what you do, what is No Hiatus, the breakdown of everything that you are.
Oh, man. So established right now, nohiatusreport.com, where it's going to have content for fitness, health and wellness, investing. And we also have profile articles on individuals who's doing things such as myself and you. And we just highlighting those individuals and pushing them to the front. And hopefully, we can have time so I can, tell your story, do my part, tell your story. That's what I want. So
anytime you need.
Put you on blast.
Yeah, anytime you need, I'm there for you, bro.
Yes, sir. But other than that, I got No Hiatus Athletics on the personal training side. Okay. No Hiatus Nutritionist. Nutrition is coming very, very soon. And then that's the breakdown of No Hiatus Enterprise. No Hiatus Athletics, Nutrition, and No Hiatus Report.
Okay.
Oh, how you can reach me is Travis Sentell Mitchell on Facebook, Sir Karate Mitch on Instagram, and you can fill out the contact form on nohiatusreport.com.
Yes, sir. All right, man. Well, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you. Enjoy the beach. Enjoy that sand. And hopefully me and my wife will be in Hawaii, hopefully sometime next year.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
No problem. No problem. Peace.